All right. Start off here as far as injuries go with Allen Robinson. Yesterday was just really a maintenance day for him. We're kind of getting to that point in the season right now with some of these guys where it can help them to have a little rest, and that's what that was yesterday with A-Rob. Other than that, no change. Had a good day yesterday. It was a normal day for us, and I thought the guys came out prepared. They were sharp with their details, and now we'll get into today's practice with third down.
Will Robinson practice today?
Yeah, he'll be practicing.
Matt, when you've got a game of this kind of magnitude where you can clinch something and it's a rivalry game, do you try to make your players not think about those things, or do you want that extra motivation in their minds? And do you want them to treat it like a regular game or not? No,
I want them to treat it like a regular game because that's what it is ultimately. There's things that go with it. There's goals that we've tried to set at the beginning of the season that go with it, but we talk about it at the beginning of the week, really with where we're at, big picture. But then once that, we put that aside, and now we just try to go about each week exactly like we've been doing. See, we're into this whole thing of don't change and continue doing what you do this whole time and what got you to where you got to. And so there's no need to put more added pressure on yourself or do things differently for any reason. That's coaches, players, people in the building. So it'll be just a normal game for us, and when we handle them that way, we explain to them everything, but they go about their business the right way.
Is it reasonable to expect them to treat it that way, or is it just human nature to come in knowing it's a big deal?
Well, no, they need to know that. Everybody needs to know where we're at. That part is more than fair. I'm not about the big elephant in the room that no one talks about. I'm more than fine with them understanding where we're at, but I don't want them to change how they prepare. I don't want them to change when they get into the game playing differently, whether that's tighter or looser. Just play how you've been playing.
Is part of them knowing where they're at also that you guys do have a chance to essentially eliminate the Packers from the playoff picture on Sunday?
No, it's not that. It's for us, it's just, again, you guys have heard me say this, control what you can control, and whatever else happens with every other team in the league, we can't control that. But we can control whether we win or lose, and that's all I want our guys to focus on. He's coming along well. Yeah, he was out of his boot. You saw that yesterday. He's progressing the right way. He's in good spirits, and that's a positive for us.
Is it still a possibility he could play for you guys this year?
Could be, yeah. It could be a possibility. We just got to see, though. You know, it's one of those deals where it's just all is going to be dependent on how he heals from everything, and then where he's at, and we'll just continue to monitor that.
Matt, you were given credit by some players for stoking kind of an emotional effort out of you, especially on defense, the defensive guys. You get a real emotional effort against the Rams. So I'm curious, do you ever, when that happens, do you ever fear of kind of a letdown, or how do you maintain that level for the next game and the game after that? It just seems like it's a big key to your success.
Well, we've been doing that all year long. I try to find where we're at each week, whether it's Monday morning, Tuesday morning after that game, whether it's a string of games, whether it's a play, whether it's a win or a loss, where are we at as a team? And I just reflect that on myself and what's our next focus. And so each week we try to, focus on a direction that we want to go. And so you have a loss to the Giants, and then you come back, you follow it with a good win versus the Rams. Well, now what's next? And so no, we don't. We just honestly, I just try to let it organically happen. How I coach, how I teach, and then those guys just respond.
When you do get that kind of emotional effort, do you ever, isn't it also human nature, natural to kind of have a letdown? Or
No. A letdown as far as the next week?
The emotion, yeah,
no.
At the same level of intensity.
You know, I learned with us, I think where you could have learned that about our team would have been after the Minnesota Vikings game, and then going and playing a few days later against Detroit on the road with short rest. That was an emotional game for us at home against Minnesota at night. And we didn't do that. So that right there taught me who we are. So I'm not making promises, but I'm not real concerned about where we're at that way.
Matt, we've talked a lot about how the Bears have changed since you played the Packers week 1, but how have you seen the Packers and specifically their offense change?
Well, number one, the biggest thing that stands out to me is once you have this amount of volume of games and you see that Aaron just doesn't turn the ball over, he protects the football, you start there in any for any team, you're going to have a chance to win. And now, they've had some injuries throughout, really throughout their whole team. Obviously, they had the head coaching change. But they're continuing to do what they. I mean, they're not going to make drastic changes with him at quarterback. They're going to have some things that they do maybe here or there that are within their offense that none of us know about. But for the most part, they're going to just keep playing and trying to score points.
Matt, you said on your call with the Packers reporters yesterday, you didn't know anything kind of about the recent history between the Bears and the Packers. Do you want your players thinking about that, kind of about that recent history? Because they obviously know, they've been a part of it.
No, I don't. I have no. They asked me that question yesterday, and it was the first time I heard that. I don't care. I won't care. I care about us and our history and our tradition. I don't care about what's happened here in the past as far as streaks and wins and losses. And to me, it means nothing. So our players haven't talked about it. I'm pretty sure they don't care either. This is a new thing for us.
Matt, one of the things that I found striking with your players is sort of the humility in your locker room.
What's the key for you this year, keeping egos at bay? You have a lot of really good players.
Yeah. I truly believe it comes down to who the human is and who the people are. And I say that I could have told you that whether we were winning or losing right now at this part of the season. We have people of high character on this team, and they're not guys that when they win get a big head or when they lose start pointing fingers. We don't do that. We have coaches that are that way. We have players that are that way, and so that doesn't surprise me. I think that's kind of again, we respect everybody. We'll always have that, but that's just not who we are. We have guys that are fun. They get it. They know the balance between joking around, dancing in practice, and then also the balance of going out and being focused and sharp and detailed in everything they do. So that's just who they are.
I know you said that this week you want to treat it like another game, but is there any sense of unfinished business against the Packers, especially after that game on September 9th?
It's not the unfinished business part for us. I think for us what it is it's an ability for us to see take a couple lessons from it. So number one, when you have a tough loss early in the season, when a coach talks to you and preaches to you that there's a lot of season left, and we get in a situation that we're in right now, from here on out, they'll believe it when it's said. So that's number one lesson. The second part of it is that when you play division games, you get to play a team twice. And how do we grow in those situations that happened in that game? And there was a bunch of great situations, not only for the players, but for me in play calling, in me with situations. And so if I'm a good coach, I think I learn from that and I help our players learn from it. And then, I get tested again here, and then that's how over time you get to see if it was valuable and how you took it.
How different do you think that you are?
I feel like I'm definitely different from that first game. So many different things going on in that first game emotionally. Your first time doing everything for real. Not preseason doesn't count. It's the season that counts. And so when you do it the first time on the road, how's your team going to respond to you talking on the headset? How are your coaches going to respond situationally with any type of management that goes on in the game with what decision making? All that's a little bit different. And so just like our players, okay, I'll use offense. They're getting better by the week. Learning our offense. Well, I feel like I'm improving. I'm not where I need to be yet, but I'm improving from week one. And I'll be tested again, I'm sure. And that's where I got to make sure that I don't make the same mistake twice. And I'm not going to get into what those are, but that's the whole season goes. I'm always trying to start with myself.
Matt, what have you learned about Vic since the season began? Has anything kind of caught you off guard or kind of surprised you about him?
Yeah, he's a guy that we have fun in practice, and he's very competitive now. And so when we have some competitive periods in practice, whether it's offense versus defense in a couple periods, he likes to have some fun and let his personality out, and I just respect that. I think it's neat. You never know that about a person going into it, but I think he's got a great personality, and his players just really respect him and what he does with the scheme.
Coach, Coach Rogers has gone 368
Passes without a pick.
Thanks. You did it right.
Now he's gonna see you guys. What excites you about your defense against him on Sunday?
Well, that doesn't excite me. 368 passes, I'll tell you that. He protects the football, and he's got extreme confidence in how he does it. He's been doing it for a long time. And so the number one thing we got to do is try to break that. But there's a reason why it's so hard and why he does that. He's seen a lot of different defenses come at him. He's obviously seen our defensive scheme. So it'll be a big time challenge for us. But I think our guys will be up for it. Coming off of the way they just played against the Rams, their confidence will be high. But we just got to keep going, each week with that.
Do you know how long you ever went without?
No, it sure as heck wasn't 368.
Man, when James and Cody and Witzman play the way they did
Yeah.
on Sunday night, and obviously a whole new opponent this week, but how do you kind of break down film with them and say this is, you played at this level and move it on to the next week?
Well, they get to understand going through with Coach Harry, each play, run game, and in the pass game, et cetera, what they did well and what they didn't do well. And so that was a challenge. That was a tall task for them, and I thought they did a great job of trying to contain that defensive line as much as they could. But just like our team, now every individual player is different. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. So whoever you're facing the next week, film study, understand any tendencies they have, and then just give it your best. And no, you're never going to be perfect, but just keep improving. I think right now they're doing that. They're improving each week.
What were your impressions of the air raid sirens on Sunday night?
Yeah, no, that was great, and I'll go back to again. I mean, we obviously gave the game ball to the fan and to the fans in the city, but just like we're talking about, coming back and we're ready for the fans again, for that and the fans to just be absolutely crazy again. I mean, that was unbelievable when you go back and you think about how loud they were and how much it helped us. And here's another opportunity for our city and our fans to do the same thing. So it was great.
Are you interested in testing out Moon's train whistle this week?
That's pretty good. I was wondering what the heck that was. That's good. That's good. All right, thank you.
probably.
Yeah, who's first?
So when Aaron Rodgers hasn't, or he's thrown one pick all year, how aware are your guys of that, and what's the challenge?
Well, they're aware of that, but he's done that every year. I mean, I remember one year I think he had 40 touchdown passes and threw only 4 or 5 picks the entire season. He's got the highest quarterback rating in the history of the NFL by a wide margin, and that's a big reason why he's never thrown a lot of picks.
Have you seen the Week 1 loss to the Packers kind of shape this defense over the course of the season?
Have I?
Or what have you seen from that game that shaped this defense?
I don't know that it shaped it at all, to be honest with you. I mean, we played good for about 3 quarters, and then we gave up a couple big plays and came away with the loss. But I don't know that it had a major effect on shaping the defense.
That defensive performance Sunday night against the Rams was pretty dominant. When you went back through it, what stood out to you the most about what you guys did?
Well, our players just played so good in the game. You know, we didn't have many missed tackles. We didn't have many missed assignments. Our players played really good.
What has made Aaron so consistent despite some of the ups and downs around him?
Well, his talent level is extremely high. His experience level is extremely high. And all of his experiences have come in the same scheme. So when you combine talent, NFL experience, scheme experience, that's what you get.
Vic, how do you make up for the loss of Bryce Callahan?
Well, we just have to put new guys in there that we have available. You know, one is Sherrick McManus, potentially, Carson, potentially, and make the best of it.
You talked in September about Sherrick had earned playing time on defense. What had he done to show you that deserving of getting out there a little bit more?
Well, in that role, he was playing a different role than he'll be asked to play. Now, he was coming in as a 6th DB then, and we were doing a couple different things with him, one rushing him and obviously dropping into coverage. Now he'll be the nickel, and, you know, that's an entirely different job. But he's had experience there. If you remember, he played there for about the first half of the 2015 season. And then when we inserted Bryce, he became a mentor to Bryce all along the way, starting at that point, and it has continued up until this point. And I think he'll be ready to play.
You said a few mistakes against the Rams. How difficult is it to replicate that type of performance? Obviously, the goal is always to continue playing that well. How tough is it to continue to replicate that?
Well, I mean, I think since we've shown that we can do it, you know, we need to do it again. It's just like the week before against the Giants. I thought we played really well in that game, but we had about 4 plays that really killed us in that game, you know, either from a technique or an assignment standpoint, and we avoided that this past game. We need to avoid it again this game. You know, this team that we're facing is highly, highly talented on offense, starting with the quarterback, who we all know about. Then you got Adams and Jones at running back, Graham at tight end, Cobb. I mean, this is a very, very talented offense that has been very productive in their time there. So it's going to be a major, major challenge in this game.
It seems like the only thing that's left for this defense to accomplish, I mean, in a specific game, is the pitcher shutout. Is that something that you or they talk about trying to accomplish?
No.
With Carson, what do you like about him if he's your dime guy?
Well, he's had a lot of experience in practice doing it for us. Very little game experience. He's a smart guy. He's got good instincts. And I know he personally has been chomping at the bit to get some defensive snaps. So I think he'll be ready mentally and emotionally.
Adams, you've talked to us in the past about his toughness and his obvious connection with Rodgers. But this year, what stands out to you about his ability to consistently create separation?
I just think it's experience and improving in whatever year this is for him in the NFL. Again, playing in the same system, playing with the same quarterback. I think he's just made the natural improving progression. You know, he's very deceptive with his speed. He's strong. He's quick. He sets guys up well. He's a tough guy to press at times, you know, because he is strong, quick, and elusive. He's really a top receiver in the league.
Regarding Leonard Floyd's play,
played good. I think he played the way he's been playing of late. You know, ever since he's gotten over the hand injury and felt comfortable using his hands, his play has picked up like I thought it would.
How important is it that your team plays with that type of emotion and just intensity? They seem to take it up a level in that regard against the Rams. Does that matter to you, or how important is that?
That's very important. You know, that goes back to preparation. That goes back to getting your mind right to play an NFL game, particularly against a quality opponent like we had this past Sunday, and just as equally quality this coming Sunday. So, you know, emotion and having your mind right plays a big part in football.
Your defenses in San Francisco, they at least seem to play at that level, that kind of intensity level consistently, which is a big part of their success. What is the key to maintaining that and not having that almost inevitable letdown, you know, when you play at such a high emotional level?
Just setting a high standard for yourself, and experience helps you with that. You know, younger players tend to be up and down that way. You know, if you've got a couple good leaders and experienced players that could set the tempo for everybody else, that helps. And part of that is our job as coaches.
In that vein, do you want your players thinking about the stakes that clinch a playoff spot? You can eliminate a rival. Do you want that in their minds?
No, I mean, we just got to go win another NFL game. You know, that's as simple as that. You know, if we had won one more earlier, we wouldn't be talking. You wouldn't ask that question. So every game is critical.
Vic, when a team goes with the same play caller as the Packers have done with McCarthy for 13 years, and all of a sudden, 14 games into the season, it's Joe Philbin, how does that affect the way you approach them in terms of what they did differently last week?
I think it is a factor. No two people call the game the same way. You know, if somehow I couldn't show up to the game on Sunday, we'd be the same defense, but whoever called it, it would look a little different because if no two people are alike. Their offense hasn't changed. You know, they didn't make drastic scheme change. It's just you have a new play caller, so you have to keep that in mind.
What's that?
A hell of a running back. You know, this guy runs tough, physical, cuts it back. He's got good vision, fights for every inch that he can get on the field. I've really been impressed with him.
How much stock do you put in Philbin's Dolphins teams? They didn't have Aaron Rodgers. Is there any carryover when you're projecting what he could call?
No.
Eddie Goldman had a big play against the Rams. What have you continued to see out of him this season?
Good, solid play, unselfish. In my opinion, a quiet leader of the team. He's a leader by example, by doing his job, not by using his voice. And he's had a very good season for us, and it was nice to see him make a big play that people would notice.
How would you characterize your trust in your two outside corners, Prince and Fuller, to just handle their receivers and allow you to do different things inside because of what they can do outside?
Trust level's high. It's going to be tested this week, you know, because Adams a lot of times is one of those outside receivers, and as is Cobb sometimes, and their other young receivers, and they put Jimmy Graham out there. So, yeah, they'll be tested this week, but you're tested every week, and their play has been good.
Coach, you guys consistently, looks like, you know, as we watch you, you just get better and better. You know, Monsters of the Midway this year, and obviously what you've done successfully over your career. What have you liked most about this particular defense this season?
You guys want these philosophical questions. You know, I just like our guys. I really do. I enjoy working with them. I trust them. I like their work habits. I like them as people, both individually and as a group. And I really like working with them. And that's enjoyable in coaching, which in the midst of an NFL season, some things aren't always enjoyable, or you don't let them be enjoyable. And I really enjoy our guys.
What do you think they do best? The statistics are every category. They're good.
Right. They just play good all-around defense, team defense. You know, we play 11 as one.
That being said, are you surprised that you're in this position to clinch the division at home?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not again, I'm a one game at a time guy, and whatever the standings show after the current game you've played, you know, that's where you're at. And obviously, as we were winning games, you knew it could be a possibility. You don't really worry about what's going on around the league, but at some point you take a look at the standings and see what's available to you, and hopefully that will help us drum up a good performance on Sunday.
It's a guy who's, you know, you take it one game at a time, and every game is a singular test. The performance against the Rams, shutting down that offense, did you celebrate or enjoy that, I guess, any more than any other game? I mean, did you at least acknowledge kind of the accomplishment as being above and beyond what you've done this season?
I tried to do a cartwheel, but I couldn't. But, I mean, you enjoy it, but really, it was a lot of satisfaction, really happy for our players, knowing what it meant for them as individuals and as a unit. The Sunday night games, you know, you get home later, you got to sleep and get right back up at it, so that curtails a little bit of the celebrating. But it was a very good performance, and I was happy for our players.
So was your game against the Rams the watershed game of the year?
I don't like the last time you guys asked me about watershed, you thought it was going to be every game 50-49. That didn't pan out that way. So.
This is the last chance we're talking before the Pro Bowl nominations start getting out Tuesday. Is there anything you're eager to see just besides the list on Tuesday?
Well, hopefully we'll have some guys make it. I think we have several guys that are very deserving, and I think it's about time. There's been a long drought here, and I think we should have a good representation. I'll be disappointed if we don't.
Have you been to that game? Have you been to that game before? Have you coached in?
Yeah.
What are your impressions of the experience?
You know, it was more than a couple years ago, and when the game was still being played at a decent competitive level, not anywhere near a regular season game, but I think the game has lost that recently. I haven't even watched some of them. I've heard that. So I haven't been there since that's happened. I don't know. Okay.
Mark, with the job you guys did on Aaron Donald, specific to James Daniels, how much does an effort like that help a young guy as far as his maturation this year and his, he's probably not going to face anybody tougher this year.
Well, yeah, I thought collectively those guys they had a great approach to that challenge. Not only Aaron Donald, but the rest of the front, and schematically kind of what they do and what they did. He had a great mindset going into it. You know, you never really know how that guy's going to respond until you get in that moment. He gets knocked around a little bit, maybe has a little taste of success or something we need to improve upon. But all in all, their approach was great. Now we have a different challenge this week. Another great interior guy, and so hopefully they put that in their toolbox and move forward with confidence.
Last week we talked again about the confidence he has in one game after what you guys did against the Rams. How would you define yours and his confidence in what could be brewing run-wise for you?
Yeah, it's been better, really over the last two games. The first half of the Giants game and last week, we were able to do some things. There's still a ton out there that we're leaving on the field, and we gotta squeeze every ounce out of that and create some big plays, create some huge impact plays. The way that game turned out the other night, it turned into a little bit of a grind fest, and taking care of the ball was at a premium. Time of possession was at a premium, and so that was a positive step, I think, for all those guys on the back end of it, carrying the ball up front, blocking those guys, and just the confidence I think they have is building.
To that point, the other night, the way you guys were able to get yards rushing out of RPOs, what have you appreciated about the way that either allows Mitch to go about it, or allows your running back to go about it, or even the line and the matchup there?
Yeah, I mean, it's the quarterback making you right. It's the ultimate check at the line of scrimmage. Is that guy running the ball when he should and throwing it when he shouldn't? Sometimes we do that pre-snap. Sometimes we do that during the play. And so it's something that he's had a ton of confidence in. Different this week. Schematically, those types of alignments and matchups don't occur all the time. But I thought Mitch got a lot of confidence in that first drive coming back out from halftime, where we didn't have a lot, we weren't patting anybody on the back there after the first half, but responded really well.
Mark, yesterday Mitch said that he wasn't really pleased with his footwork on Sunday. When you go back and watch that tape, what sort of either good or bad pops out about his footwork to you?
Yeah, he is a good critic of himself. He had some moments that I think are just very unlike him. Things that we haven't seen. Just his footwork, his balance, his confidence in operation was just a tick off, and that resulted in some missed opportunities. And again, there's nobody that's worked harder or attacked it better than him. Both throughout that game, the second half of that game, and then this week.
Looking back at it, what do you think that 2-week layoff he had kind of did to him in terms of the path he was on?
You never know. You never know. Jared Goff is a phenomenal passer, and he missed a bunch of guys too. And who knows whether it doesn't matter, right? It's the weather, it's the pass rush, it's all those things. Those guys are elite guys for a reason, and again, we have total confidence in Mitch.
Do you guys evaluate how Mitch is playing in game, and does that impact play calling?
Say that first part again. I'm sorry.
Are you evaluating him as the game goes along to the point that it would affect play calling?
I think you're constantly doing that, yeah, at not only the quarterback position, but everywhere. As we got going in that game, and we realized our protection plan was holding up with those guys, maybe we might try to throw the ball a little bit differently. You're feeling out all those matchups, what you think going into it, and then what you see, their adjustments. How differently they're playing us. They played us completely differently, almost 100% differently than their tendencies. Almost a 180. So that's on us to make sure that they're prepared for all that stuff, and then the quarterback and everybody else has to adjust accordingly.
You guys have talked about the season about finding what Mitch is comfortable running,
and making sure that that's a focus. Does it become even more of a bedrock for you guys, or even a tighter sample because the games start having playoff stakes, and you're eventually going to get to a win or go home point? That you've got to really rely on that more than maybe, say, testing things out or learning what he does well in games.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think we're always, every play matters. You know, every play is important, and you don't know that it's, hey, that third down in the second quarter is going to decide the game, right? They don't stop the game and say, hey, guys, this is it right here. It's going to be a turnover, and, you know, you're going to want to do the right thing, right? We have to have that approach every single snap of practice. But, yes, absolutely, certainly you're going to play through your quarterback, both what he has confidence in, his mindset, all those things. And then, you know, you have to play with the pieces around him as well. Yes. In short, yes.
Mark, you have these games where you have these pre-snap penalties, whether it's alignment, guys pointing at each other to get lined up right. Is it a matter of their lack of experience in this scheme, lack of experience as players overall? What's playing into these continuing of it?
Yeah, it's very frustrating, and that's on us as coaches to get it right. We had some guys make those mistakes the other night that, you know, has never, ever happened. And that's maybe when you get to the point where you're going, okay, maybe are we doing too much? You know, those types of moments. But that's something that, you know, again, those guys work long and hard. They have to be right. And again, we have to continually work with that and coach them to do it correctly. But pre-snap penalties are ridiculous.
With your experience with quarterbacks, are some more dependent on proper mechanics than other words? In other words, there's some guys just needing to go through, you know, footwork and everything on every single snap in order to be accurate compared to, I don't know, some other guys that might just be able to get away with some things.
Yeah, I think I know where you're headed with that. I think, you know, there's guys that have a quicker release and they can make their decision a little bit later, or maybe less arm strength and get the ball out later. But usually that comes back to a foundation of great fundamentals somewhere, either in how they just physically throw the football, their mechanics that way, what their foundation is, their base when they throw the football. Usually that's really, really good to you know, play at a level of I think what you're talking about. You know, I've never seen, you know, there's a couple guys that we've played against that make some unbelievable one-time shot throws, but to be consistently, you know, really, really good, you have to have a foundation of one of those two things. I think he's done a great job of just, you know, he constantly talks about being him, you know, being himself in his role, being himself, and I think our guys, we have a good group of guys that have bought in. Absolutely, 100% winning helps, you know, get that kind of lubricated, and he's maintained that, you know, and at the same time had a standard of not you know, compromising on standards in other areas, but no, I think he's managed everything, I mean, really, really, really well. Yeah, that again is a guy that we love to have out there as an option. He did so many things in you know, back going into the spring and training camp that we got excited about, but it was, you know, like that guy that that present that you can't open for a long time, and then he was put back under the Christmas tree for a few more weeks. But he's a huge ceiling on his game. He can, you know, I think he needs to work to get better at the line of scrimmage, and he's doing that. In the protection area and in the run game, but route running, going and getting the ball, being a one-on-one, you know, mismatch is something that we covet.
Thanks, Coach.
Chris, if Shark's the number one nickel, does that impact how much you can use him on special teams, or does he still get a full plate there?
You have to make some adjustments, and we'll make those adjustments accordingly. And I think you're always in the special teams world, you're always planning for things like that. But you know, obviously, he next man up.
Can did to get that job?
Well, I think it's something, obviously, we've been working with him the whole time, and it was just something that we wanted to put him in there and see if something could happen. And unfortunately for his first kick, he gets a bad kick that comes to him, you know. But he's doing a nice job, and I think the jury's still out on him. But he has playmaking ability, and so that, you know, you like that.
Decision making when and not to take it out, that's the work in progress for him?
No, those are always game by game. I just think it's, you know, getting reps. And, you know, I mean, anytime you put a new guy in there, it's not going to be the magical answer because you're still going to need reps throughout a game to get used to what it's really like. So I'm sure that we might have some of those growing pains, but he's a good football player, and, you know, it's another opportunity to get a good football player, get the football in his hands.
I'm guessing it'd be your preference to not have him holding the ball out with one hand, though?
Not a big fan of that, so we're going to continue to work on that.
With Sherrick, I know you're not the defensive coordinator, but what about his traits that you've seen on special teams make him, you know, the type of player that can get more reps on defense?
Well, he plays well out in open space. You know, I mean, I think anytime you're a gunner and you have to defeat blocks and then play out in open space, change direction, and then making those tackles in open space, those are qualities that as a defensive player you need to have. I think as a defensive coach you would want to have. So I'm excited for him to get his opportunity to play a little bit. I thought he did a great job. I really did. I mean, he won the net punt there again, pinned him down inside. I think he had 4 inside the 20s, but we had a couple, I think, on the 5 and on the 2 or whatever. Those are big plays, and you know, he needs to continue to do that. So hopefully, you know, this will be another big game field position type deal. You know, we're going to need him again. He just pulled his head a little fast on that one. That was disappointing. You know, he needs to make those, and he knows that. So looking for him to bounce back. I'm glad he made the 2 previous ones, you know, to get it to, you know, make it essentially a two-score game.
Saw the fake punt coming. Was that just a matter of they just were able to execute it?
I thought they did a nice job executing the play. You know, I mean, we had guys in position. I got to do a better job of coaching too. You know, I mean, I've always put that on myself. It doesn't go right there. But you know, Hecker made a nice throw, and they brought a guy from the backside, that's tough on a defense too. It's an offensive play with Hecker. When Hecker's back there, you're not playing a punter. You're playing a quarterback that can punt the football. So that does stress you there.
Is fourth? I think it was 4th and 6. Is that a little bit outside of where you're really looking at the possibility of a fake, or does it change with a team like the Rams?
I think it changed with a team like the Rams. I mean, they're traditionally usually pull something out on a nationally televised game. It's early in the game. I think it was 3-3 at the time. So if it doesn't go their way, you know, the thought process is you still have a lot of football left that you can overcome, something like that. So I wasn't surprised at that moment in time that they did it. They did a nice job. My hat's off to them, and you know, play the next play, which is what our guys did. And you know, nobody went in the tank on. We just kept moving on. Our guys understand there's going to be good plays by their team. There's going to be good plays by us, and I think you just have to attack each play one at a time, and that's what we want to continue to do.
How does O'Donnell throw in comparison to Hecker?
Pat throws the ball nice. He does a nice job throwing the football. Hecker's the third-string quarterback. So, you know, Pat's throwing. He can throw, but he's not our third-string quarterback.
Is there a concern with Pat, though, of not wanting to ruin his career passer rating?
Yeah, because he has a high quarterback rating, does he not? So I guess I'd have to put him in a perfect spot there to keep that perfect quarterback rating.
So working with Matt Nagy, do you have to be on your toes a little bit with some of the things he likes to do from a creative standpoint, thinking specifically when he does that switcheroo with the units coming out off the field?
Well, that's something we've been, you know, working at. And no, Matt does. He challenges you that way, and that's fun. That's fun for the development myself as a coach. Is your unit. I mean, you want that, and I love it when coach does that stuff. So it's, you know, maybe there's still more to go.
What would be your argument for Tariq Cohen to make the Pro Bowl?
Oh, we're second in the league in punt return. He's been our punt returner the whole time. I think that if you look at the league averages, I know that we haven't had a touchdown yet, But a few weeks ago, I think it was like 20 yards plus returns. I think NFL average was each team had like maybe like 1.6, and I think we were at 6 or 7. And then the 15 through 19, his numbers are high. We're way higher, leading the league in that area. To me, that's consistency. I think sometimes stats are very deceiving. I mean, you can have a punt returner knock off a 94-yard touchdown run, and then he gets nothing else, and his number's still very, very high. That's why I don't look at stats. I look at the tape, and the tape will tell you the story, and I think his tape he's been very consistent. I think he's done a nice job with his decision-making skills, and he's a guy that when the ball's in his hands, anything can happen. So those, to me, sound like Pro Bowl traits and qualities.
Kind of going off that, we always talk about Sherrick and Benny and even Bellamy when it comes to special teams. Which young players are emerging to you on tape in terms of being reliable, four-face contributors in special teams?
Well, I'll be honest with you, and that's a good question, and I hate answering that question because then I always feel like if I leave somebody out, because I have a lot of respect for the guys that are in our room and what we're trying to get accomplished. The one thing that I am fired up about is I think that they are getting better. There's still plays that we need to make, and we need to improve and need to coach better and all those things. But I don't want to single anyone out, but I'm happy with where they're going. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.